And we'll go ahead and turn this on. Okay, we'll start up the podcast.
It's been a somewhat slower
So again,
week,
this is
so we're
ACG
gonna talk about
Gaming,
this,
or
and then also talk
ACG.
about some offshoot topics. But there's a little bit to discuss that's super important. There's some stuff that's not so important. There's a little outrage that we'll discuss, as well as um, some successes this week when it comes to games, and maybe some not so successes. Also, Silver's repping the ACG shirt. I want to say how much I appreciate that. The sexy, super smooth ACG shirt.
I
And
might be a little
Johnny's playing on
rusty too.
PC, so maybe we'll get some ideas or an update on how that
I'll have
works.
to
Brandon Martin, who's been a member for a
warm
while,
back
and
up
says,
to
"Hey
my
guys, did you
combo
buy the
here.
Xbox 360s before the store closes down? On the store, the first Homefront game is 49 cents. Is it a good FPS? The first Homefront game is pretty rough. For 49 cents, I I feel comfortable saying you'll get 49 cents out of it. How about that?
Yeah.
You'll get approximately
What are you doing over
59
there?
cents.
I mean,
What are you doing over there, huh?
it's decidedly average, I would say.
I would
So,
say too. Yeah, I enjoyed the second one more, but it also didn't review incredibly well. But they're different styles of games. There's different stuff that's going on in each of them.
Oh, I need to
They're
change my crop mode.
enjoyable enough if you have nothing else whatsoever. If
You know,
you
I do
like
that every
looking at art,
time.
including food,
Apply,
sleep,
confirm.
bathing, reading,
yeah, that's a ringing
a stub
endorsement.
toe, whatever. Yeah. Um, Mr. Sandman says, hello, ACG from the Fallout London team. Well, hello to you guys. We're going to talk about mods. That's actually one of the things we want to talk about today is mods and mod expectations from gamers, how to feedback correctly to mod makers where, mod makers don't have the sheer amount of just teams available for QA, and so how
Item
how do you
count.
positively feedback to teams without just absolutely attacking them, especially if it's free stuff.
I think something happened. You froze and we froze for
You guys froze. I'm here.
I think we're good now.
We're good for me,
Yeah, I
but you
picked up
guys
now
are
again.
frozen in
Yeah.
place. Now, there we go. Now you guys are back. Look at that. It's magic.
Technical
This is
technical
way different than it used
difficulties.
to be, where it just freeze and never come back. But the first thing I want to do is find out what these guys
Gotta
have
love
been
it.
doing throughout the week. So let's go to Silver first. What have you been playing? What have you been enjoying? Have you been reading anything, listening to anything?
Yeah,
Froze
reading
again.
comic books or graphic novels
Nice.
as often as I can. Also, still playing Alien Dark Descent, and inspired by Johnny, I started replaying SnowRunner.
Hell yeah.
SnowRunner's awesome. If we freeze, guys, just continue with us. We're just going to keep going because I have no clue exactly what's going on. It looks like it's a Zoom issue. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the
Hearing
best
you
part
fine.
is it looks like Silver's like getting ready to give somebody the world's biggest high five. He's like, boom. Yeah, I don't know why. You know what? You guys want me to? If it goes on again, I'll close this particular room down or whatever it's called, Zoom, and then pop you guys back up.
Sure.
What about you, Johnny? What have you been playing?
I've been playing just a lot of SnowRunner, a little bit of League of Legends, but mostly SnowRunner. There's a lot to do in the game, and it's really enjoyable moment to moment. A nice
SnowRunner? I
chill
don't even know what
game
that
for
is.
after work. Well, I say chill, but it's actually weirdly stressful too. You're
Why is it
trying to
weirdly stressful?
It can also be rage-inducing sometimes.
yeah, you're trying to like carefully navigate, and you're doing great for 30 minutes, and then you tip over and you're done. You have to
For 30
completely
minutes?
restart the route unless you have a friend nearby to help you out.
Yeah.
Or if you're on hard mode, you have to get another truck to go over there and pick up the truck that
God.
tipped over.
Of course, you probably play in hard mode.
When I went back, yeah, I tried starting it up.
It's so crazy to think
there are
what
a
type
couple
of games
things
are
in
out
hard mode
there.
that I find really annoying, like the fact that
Yeah.
you can't actually skip time in it. So you're stuck with, like, if it's the middle of the night or morning or
trolling
whatever time
around
it is,
waiting.
you're stuck having to just deal with that.
Yeah.
That's one aspect of it that does annoy me.
Also, Johnny, what are you going to be streaming this week?
Probably SnowRunner. It's been what we've been doing, and I've been like listening to
SnowRunner.
music and doing like music requests for
I need to
people
watch
and
some
stuff.
gameplay on that.
It's been kind of like the trucker life,
What are you just like in a truck, just plowing
some good
snow?
music, and
relaxing.
hitting the road. Yeah.
What?
What time is that stream, by the way, for people?
So tomorrow, Johnny plays live on Twitch.
I live in Florida
at,
and I never get snow,
9
so I'm gonna
a.m.
play
EST
SnowRunner.
time. That's 6 a.m. Carrick Standard Time.
Indeed.
Crack of dawn.
Yeah, ask Crack at Dawn for me. So if you guys get a chance, jump by, check out Johnny Plays Live. He'll be streaming that. Hopefully it won't be as rage-inducing as it sounds like it can be. I think it's also I mean, it is rage-inducing, but there's something I get out of that game. It's just a different.
I've never heard of that game, SnowRunner. Is that popular? What is that?
For like 29 minutes, and then all of a sudden you hit one rock and your car tips
it's
over.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
But it is satisfying how you plot your own route. That's why I compared it to Death Stranding. That was really the only thing about it that's like.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think at its heart, it's an engineering game. It's a problem-solving game.
Yeah.
More really than it is.
You need the right truck for the right job, right? You need the right approach, the right wheels, all that.
Yeah. And the consistent scanning of the location.
Also, I'm not really sure why
where everybody is or where everything is.
My chat bot is not working. So it's always fun.
I will say though, like
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I left it because I do think it has.
Gotta love good old Botrix.
I've seen of content, particularly early on, where like you start with really crappy tires for your trucks and you can't upgrade them until significantly, like you've leveled. Like
until later
six levels or so.
Right.
But you start getting even halfway decent tires for the trucks. And I think that's a little harsh. But like it does provide for a very, very rough early experience in the game. But that's really sort of my main gripe with it.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Come on.
Like some stuff that's
give me a Deboreka accessory.
Difficulty settings where you could
give me the RNG gods.
Sort of throw some stuff out there.
So you can actually, as a new game plus, they actually allow
you
to
fail.
jigger around with the difficulty settings and set them the way you like them.
Yeah. I don't know why that would be locked under a new game plus, because I feel like a lot of people who would want to jump in wouldn't want to jump into the new game plus kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I totally know what you mean.
The new game plus always sort of confuses me when you look at it. Like, I'm not quite sure why they would go with any kind of adjustments for difficulty and stuff for new game plus, especially because you're wanting people to engage in the game in the first little bit. You want to have people jump in there, and it's always just such a weird one. This week I've been playing EDF 6. So that one is odd. EDF 6 has
Dude, what type of games are they playing?
We're going to discuss this week. So EDF 6 has some issues. It's got a dual account system. Unfortunately, you need to have your Epic account, and have it all connected, and that's caused people all kinds of angst. You could say it's review bombed, but every time I say it's review bombed, people say that's just.
I'm so out of loop with the new games, I guess.
Whatever.
Or the popular game, or maybe they're not even playing the popular games.
It's definitely a situation that we're starting to see. Helldivers had it. Remember Helldivers?
Okay, I know that game. I've heard of Helldivers.
And Rogerio, I was talking to him in Discord, and he was saying, well, I feel like, possibly in the future this is going to continue. And I was like, it just feels like to me that they're not going to, that people are seeing that these are an issue and they're getting the instant feedback. And why would they dive into that instant feedback, especially because it is, you are able to go on there on Steam in particular and just leave your feedback right away that, hey, this has an issue. But my problem isn't with that. So EDF 6 is astoundingly bad looking. And it's not that we hear this stuff all the time. It's always looked that way. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, right. That's the problem.
That is the problem. And we're now at a point.
Some people say it actually looks worse than EDF 5.
I believe it truly looks worse somehow than EDF 5.
Yeah, I don't know what they're even talking about.
Looking at it out loud, saying like, I cannot understand how it looks like it looks even in last gen, but certainly in this gen. The number of enemies they send you, all of this kind of stuff is crazy. There's all of these things that you can do in it. There's a ton of weapons, there's new enemies, old enemies. But I got to tell you guys, man, as I'm playing it and I'm just seeing people explode and all this stuff, it is interesting to me that a game like that doesn't get held to any criteria for improvement of graphics, where other games do. At some point, they're not asking for a small amount. This is not a $9 game. But at some point, even if I was a fan, I would look at any game I'm a fan of, and unless it was a geometric pattern game like Tetris or something, and Tetris had Tetris Effect, which is one of the best looking games, at least artistically, we've seen in a long time. I just don't understand how it's continually ignored, because it's not just that. It's the collision detection. It's the animation.
Right.
It's everything. It's the way it plays. It's all along the everything about the way this game functions is fucking ancient. Ancient. I mean, I'm telling you guys, if you told me that was running on an emulator, I would straight up just say, I do not disbelieve you. I mean, it's legitimately that poor graphically. And it stuns me, man. I mean, I just don't understand. And you've got, people who say, "Oh, it's a B-level story, so the voices are supposed to be bad on purpose." I get that. But they're also bad in sample. You can hear the scratchiness, you can hear the terrible mics. You can do a B-level game with your B-level story with higher
The audio
fidelity,
quality,
with
right.
audio, exactly. And it frustrates me. So I told people, I was like, unless there's been unless you really need this game, I would say, and unless you really know what you're getting into, it also has frame pacing issues out the yank, man. They're really bad. Um, it's a game that only sells to its fans. But at some point,
Right.
if I was a fan, I would still say,
And I think
you're no longer selling to me.
and I
Go ahead.
think like in the context of Helldivers 2 releasing this year, it's become an even harder sell,
Mm, that's fair.
probably.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a harder sell. And
I
as
mean, I think
somebody who didn't touch much of Helldivers 2, I
I've
luckily
never
did
even
go
played it.
into it with a comparison there. I went into
Never
a
played it.
comparison with the last couple I've played,
Not even
and
really sure what
it was just
it
straight up.
is,
What were you gonna say?
other than like a shooter.
um, just I think I mean
I
I
think
haven't
I've heard
played it
good things
since,
about
so
it
I can't
though.
really speak to
I
it.
don't know if it's so
But
popular.
I think
I guess it is
your
maybe.
points are fair to the series in general. It's a series that I like. I would actually make its most direct comparison to like Dynasty Warriors
Yeah.
in the sense that they share a lot of those sort of drawbacks where Dynasty Warriors was also always a series that never really looked all that great
Hmm.
graphically.
Right.
It always looked like a few steps behind sort of current gen.
Hmm.
Um, but what you got for in exchange for that was just this sheer amount of like enemy models and stuff on screen,
Right.
and the action going on. Um, and you had to make sort of also controls weren't always super tight for the combat and stuff. Like there were a lot of like minor like drawbacks to that game that you wouldn't necessarily tolerate
Hmm. In other
in
titles.
other games. But they sort of become woven into the tapestry, I guess, of what the game is and the feel of it, to where players become attached to it. Kind of, I guess, maybe in the same sense that they get attached to a kind of schlock with films. uh, Maybe in that sense, but I think that there's something to that
Well,
where
I think so
we
far,
know
trash
that
wise,
it's
I'm not
something that
doing
we
very
wouldn't
good.
necessarily tolerate in other places, but here it's part of a sort of whole that creates something that's unique, entirely unique for what it is. Because there isn't anything. I mean, you can compare it somewhat to Helldivers, but even then, EDF is sort of uniquely its own thing. There isn't really anything like EDF out there.
Mm.
Uh,
Except for EDF 1, 2, 3, and 4 and
yeah,
5.
yeah,
Which,
yeah,
yeah, which
yes,
is
of course,
exactly
yes,
like
yes,
And it reminds
yes.
me of,
I mean,
you
also the
know,
fact that we haven't even gotten a new class. It's still the same
yeah,
four
it's still
classes.
the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
still the same.
dude.
It's still everything's the same, man. And while I agree with you, and weird enough, Dynasty Warriors is the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I do feel that Dynasty Warriors, almost every one of them, not all of them, does add things, whether it be classes or
Well,
they
they
take
do.
an IP from another.
And they
You know,
did try to go open world with 9.
and they tried to go open world. You could also say Rise of Ronin tried to go towards Dynasty Warriors. I'm just joking. That's a diss on Rise of Ronin. But you know, you just look at these, and it's stunning to me that their level, especially when we compare them. To me, a lot of times when I look at it, I'm like, even the review for this is weird because it's just like, well, if you're accustomed to this super low level of quality, then even then I feel like I got ripped off a little bit. I just feel like we're now, because I am somebody, you know me, I've enjoyed a couple of the EDFs, not all of them, but I think I enjoyed 4. I think I liked Iron Rain more than most people, but that's because they also, I remember they changed the graphics and tried to go a little bit
Yeah, they
a
did.
little bit higher level on the graphics there. So yeah, it was just one of those things where I was like, man, it's difficult to even review because you're almost reviewing something that
I think it
isn't.
was also
It's like a
they
fanfic.
outsourced Iron Rain as well, I think.
They did, yeah, they did. But yeah, it reminds me of a fanfic, is what it reminds me of. Like it's sort
Yeah,
of
well, it
just
is just an
written
iteration
for
of the
fans.
same thing over and over. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
But there is also,
definitely a weird
and
one.
like you said, that is catering to the specific crowd that's really what they want. They want
They
Yeah.
want that
they really
exactly.
just want 100 more missions to play through.
Yeah. It is funny though to look at this game and say to myself with no irony that NFL games each year iterate better than this does.
Right.
And I
Because, dude,
find
even
that
to the
sad
level
because
of the
that's
menus.
even to the level of the menus.
Yeah, the
It-
menus are crunchy as hell. Like,
oh, dude, I can honestly, legitimately say the level in NFL is masterwork compared to this when it comes to each iteration. Which, yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird, but there's your game. It's out there. You can get it. It's got a dual sign in, which I know is not pleasing people, but it is what
oh
it
yeah,
is.
No, that
It,
is one reason I probably won't be getting it because I still don't have an Epic account.
right, yeah, and it's one of those ones that forces you to have it. So always sucks to be forced in that kind of stuff.
yep.
Absolutely hate it because when you get one of those things, even if you do have another account, I've been one of those people that have had one system be working, one account system be working, one not. So it's like now you got to hinge on two accounts being working at any one time, or two things
Absolutely.
working at any one
The
time. So
chances of like,
Hey,
oh, okay, now the
bring it
2FA
on.
is not working, and I need to go troubleshoot that, instead of playing the game.
absolutely,
There are
yeah.
tons of practical little issues.
Moving on from there, also Stalker 2 got delayed. No surprise. I mean, man,
So you said no surprise. Did you like expect it based on the lack of stuff we've seen
not
about
so
it?
much on the lack of stuff because I actually was saying they've done a better job than say Avowed has.
Oh,
Avowed
Right.
All right,
seriously
here comes
has
all the
lack of
mobs.
stuff.
Get
Like that,
ready.
like
Get
that's
ready.
substance,
actually,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
the amount of data you would expect. But when it comes to how this is done and how the PR systems have done, I've been looking at
Gosh,
it
it's
going,
so
okay,
many,
soccer could
dude.
be here or there. I think
Oh
I
my
was of
gosh.
the opinion that they wouldn't, or that they wouldn't if they didn't have to. And they didn't state we did it to make space. They legitimately are doing it because of technical issues. Needing polish, which I'm all for, man. I mean, we're now in
Yeah.
this weird area where, not weird, but we're in an area where there's just no leeway given unless it's EDF. There's just no leeway given if your game has any issues up front. It's
Yeah.
hard to climb out. What did it take No Man's Sky? 12 years? I don't know when No Man's Sky originally came out. Not 12 years, but it took it many
We
years
have,
to even get to like
Yeah,
media
never played that
oh,
game.
dude,
Steam.
we have recent examples of games that, like, day one had a lot of issues, like Last of Us, the PC remake.
Right. Yeah.
And pretty quickly they fixed most of them, but that's not what people remember. People still remember, you know, the the worst version as it
Yeah.
came out.
The worst
Really,
thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Hey, it is what it is. I mean, I'm glad that they delayed it. I think we could also see some of these others delay, especially when you look at Black Myth when that releases versus Avowed,
ooh,
stuff like that. There's that crunch time right there, just like
yeah.
where you start to look and you're like, holy crap, there's a lot right in this small section that looks pretty
I
rough
I
for a
kind of had
company.
a question for you guys on this topic. Would you prefer that companies just didn't give a date? If they were simply like, listen, we'll give you a date when it's solid, you know, like if instead of giving a date back then, they came out now saying this is the date, so that they don't need to like go back on their word, you know, like a few times. I just feel like there's a bit of like the boy who cried wolf type of situation where we start to hear dates from teams several times and they go back on it. It kind of like stops meaning anything. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, that or just give like a time frame that is
Time frame.
potentially
Give me quarter,
a little
right?
ambiguous. So like fall
Yep.
2024 or 22 like winter 2025 or whatever it is. Like like something that gives you a bit of leeway to sort of run on. And then
Yeah.
if you get a delay from that, okay, because you were already kind of ambiguous. But
Mm.
when you do like set out that specific date, you do set a series of expectations there that are then not met when you delay. And that's going to
Yeah.
be disappointing for a number of people who are expecting to
And and people were saying
that date
stakeholders,
to be met.
like, you know, saying that they need to give a date for stakeholders, but having to delay is also not good for stakeholders, right?
It's not good for
In terms of the
stakeholders, but
perception.
the majority of games that I'm tracking that got delayed don't have stakeholders
Oh,
at
like,
all.
yeah, that's true. They're just
Yeah,
independent
I think
dev teams.
stakeholders feel like a little bit of a leftover from the big man versus the small man. Let's
Yes.
complain about the big company. But when you look at least because
All
I
right,
do
I am
track a lot
not.
more games than maybe a
Like I'm
normal
not doing
person
so hot,
does. But when I'm tracking games,
which is
I'm seeing
unfortunate.
way more delays because there's more of them than the big ones. I still see the big games get delayed, but or not announce their times and get moved and delayed. No, I don't. I mean, for some it could, but you're right. Investors also don't want to delay because that'll impact you. We also saw just recently Paradox 90% profit loss the moment they canceled the Sims, you know, clone or whatever it's
Yeah.
called. They got hit huge. So
I think
delays, cancellations, they all for sure hit. But
I think
I
the
just wanted to
big
add
in
one thing. I just
oh,
wanted to
go
add
ahead.
one thing. I agree with both of you. I just wanted to say my 2 cents. I do agree with both of you that a quarter would be much better,
Mm.
a la Kingdom Come 2, saying, we're
Yeah,
coming.
right.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Go ahead, Silver.
Just no, sorry, I lost my train of
Sorry,
thought now.
sorry.
Uh,
No, that's my own fault.
Rip.
Okay, so we were talking about investor. Well, you did just interrupt me, and you can have an interruption right away if it pops up. But I do think that when you look at it, the investor thing, you look at small and big companies, you look at the time frames. I love the ideas of, hey man, let's throw this out here, quarter of fall, winter, spring,
Yep.
that kind of thing. I would be fine with, and they may have a date internally.
Remember now.
Go for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just I think the big incentive for developers for giving like a
Dates.
specific date
Hmm.
is the pre-orders, the pre-order incentive that it gives them something tangible to set up and say,
Yep.
oh, we'll be releasing here now. You can pre-order. Pre-orders
Yeah.
are open.
That's true.
I was
Riotas.
thinking along the lines of what you and we all said about the quarter, that would still work for pre-orders, though. If
I
you could
think it
fit
would.
it in, like you
Yeah,
could say winter,
it
even though
would
it's
kind of, but
December doesn't
I
really
don't think
work
it
for
works
sales.
as well as having something set, like and specifically, oh, like August 17th. Oh, pre-order game out then, rather
How
than
early are pre-orders for you, Silver? Do you usually see pre-orders? Because I don't track when pre-orders go live. Are they about a month to 2 months for pre-orders? Or are they more than
no,
three
it's
months?
a lot. I mean, a lot of them are a year out whenever they
Wow.
actually set
I
the
don't pre-order nothing, so
whenever they actually set the date for that's when they open for pre-orders.
I can't imagine like pre-ordering 1 year in advance
pre-ordering
without like.
anything one
No,
year.
I wouldn't
No
either.
I don't
kidding.
even know if I'll
That's a
be
long
alive in
time.
1 year. Like I mean,
1 year in
that's
advance. That's
even that's not
Only
insane.
even
exception is possibly
fatalistic.
with
Like, could
some
you
of the
imagine?
collector's editions. I will do it while they're still available.
1 year in
I
advance.
well, okay, but so when collector's editions. See, collector's editions are such a weird thing to me because I've seen some that really look like they're worth it, collector-wise.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And others really aren't.
And
yeah.
others are
Yo.
they're not. And we've talked about this as like,
What up,
could you do a
S1
collector's edition of this and
NJE?
screw the game completely and give me a bunch.
What's
of
going
cool
on?
stuff
Hope you're
because
having
I love
a
this
good
game.
day
I'm actually
good
for
night,
that.
or
But what I
whatever time
don't
zone
like
you're
is
in.
when you get the code in a piece of paper like a fortune cookie where you slide it open and you've got your code and you're just like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I could
That is
not
true.
imagine trying to
Pre-orders
pre-order a
like today.
game
Fresler $5
for a
says,
year in
"Hey,
advance.
shout out to the bald
That's
gang."
crazy. I'm pretty
Did
sure
you check?
I did like a pre-order
Did you
for
see the lack of stuff for FC25?
BDO.
Let me try this again.
Like I'm pretty sure I did like early access,
The lack of
but it was
stuff
only
for
like
FC25. That's the
maybe a
World
week,
Championship,
couple
correct?
weeks
That would be your
prior
guys'
to the game
soccer
even
team,
like
I believe.
launching. Like it wasn't a whole year.
That's FIFA with its rebranding.
Okay.
They call it that now?
And he said I might get it
EAFC.
because nothing else is better. Salute to the community. Okay, I got you. Took me a second.
But yeah.
I didn't. But did it review well? Did football
I haven't
championship?
seen any reviews. I mean, is it even out? It usually releases September, I think.
Does it?
FIFA. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
So
much
I would
about
I would
football.
imagine it's just that they've announced features and some features aren't included.
Ouch.
That's potentially what people are talking about then.
I mean, look at NCAA. 2.2 million people paid $100 to play that early, and
Yeah, that's
missing entire modes,
crazy.
but because
Dude.
it's
That is so
college
crazy.
football, which hasn't been represented for going
Years.
many years. I don't know how many
Years.
Somebody told me the years in the chat. People pre-ordered and were playing that a full
Probably
3
10
the
years.
typical
It's been a
3
minute.
Play
Right.
a certain amount early
play
or
early.
whatever. Play early. Play early because the game is already done for everybody.
Yep.
Jackasses.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how they get some
That's
extra
Still
money.
a thing, right?
It
That's
is.
just
For sure.
It has been for a while
Unfortunately.
now, sadly.
yeah. It's
really
the play
sad.
early thing is
So annoying.
I always assume we're at the worst for how things are going to go. And
No, it's only going to get
rarely did
worse.
I get a CD where they're like, if you buy it early, you get a bonus track. But now I feel like, or you get a bonus chapter if you buy a book. Occasionally, I would see that where some particular versions of a novelist book would have the next chapter of their next in it or something like that. Right. But it was so rare. But with gaming, every time I put my foot down, I'm like, I'm not pre-ordering. They're like, no worries, but you can play early. And you're like, Jesus.
I know. They always get you with that. Play early.
Early is true FOMO, guys.
Because then you'll be behind.
Pre-order's one thing. Play early.
Yep.
Man, that's some psychologist level bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Sitting on a couch trying to figure out the exact way to grift somebody. That is.
It is full on.
You can get a head start
or like
3 days
praying.
early. Yeah.
And
but
but here's the worst part, Silver.
Tony, it's huge.
Both sides. You can get a head start, or you can watch your friend get a head start, and you won't.
Yep.
It's both sides.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's sucks,
so
man.
annoying.
And the game's done, right? The game's done. It's like
just another extra way to make more profit.
It should be done for everybody. I do understand why they want to do it. Money.
Oh yeah, it's huge. Oh yeah, I'm sure they make a lot more money when you do that.
That sucks balls, man. That's like
it does.
Play early is just it's crazy, and people want the games. There, for example, NCAA is a good game. If it was a bad game, it'd be one thing where we could laugh about it, but it's like that game in particular, a lot of people love that game. So you're just like, oh man,
I'm hoping they will find a better incentive system. Even
they
just
won't.
Skins and stuff, I think is better because this actually sort of divides your
player base,
your player base a little bit.
They won't.
At least enthusiasm, right?
Let me explain one thing, Johnny, because remember when you first started, I would always tease you because sometimes I would explain something I thought was bad, and you'd be like, well, to play devil's advocate. I'd be like, Johnny, there's not always two sides. Let me explain one part where there might be two sides to this. I'll be Johnny. Just for a second.
The turns have tabled.
Yeah, they have tabled. You could also use the 3 days as a server test.
That's true.
Yeah, I hear you. That does make sense.
It does make sense. And you doing software, I've worked software development deployment, and I can tell you
a beta, like Ubisoft.
Or you could call it a beta, the crew, where they tried to pretend that was a beta. Final number is in there. But you know what I mean, Johnny? You could say,
yeah,
hey, we've got 2 million people playing NCAA instead of what is possibly going to be one of the better selling football games of all time. You could say
Oh yeah.
instead of getting all those guys and we see their server issues. But here's the reverse ass end part of that. You're basically saying play early for money, which gets you in early, but also you have a higher chance of issues if we are using it for testing the servers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Dude, we can't get out of it. Souls Keeper 23 super chat. What's up, Souls Keeper? Thanks for the super chat. It always helps the channel. Gents, it's with great sadness to announce the expired potato chips have been triumphant. Writing this from my toilet. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was this big discussion about a week and a half ago in our voice chat where we were talking about things that go bad or don't go bad. And one of the guys was eating chips or was talking about his dad eating chips that he thought were fine, but the oil had spoiled. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It's
Oil
sit for a long
spoiled?
time, but the oil itself went rancid. And
That's
sick as a dog
so
afterwards. So then we had
crazy.
him this guy pop into chat, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to try out these chips. They're expired. And people are like, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. And then I brought up that in voice chat just last week, somebody was telling this disaster story. And apparently,
But that's gonna be a long time. That's Fallout
Yeah, it's gonna be
level.
super long
I
time.
guess it depends if it's a natural chip and it doesn't have preservatives.
I don't think I've ever heard a
sometimes
chip
maybe there's
going
higher chance
bad
of that going rancid.
like that.
Yeah. Too bad, man. Sorry to hear that. Writing this from your toilet. Hopefully you're sitting on it and not facing it, because if you're facing it, that's even worse. So at least you can sit and type us while we talk to you, man. I hope you end up coming out of this, not losing like 15 pounds of weight. Witness 1000 says NCAA is ass. The presentation is crap. Ultimate Team mode is janky. CJ Watt is black in the game. EA didn't gaff.
Wait, what?
I don't know what EA gaff is or TJ
What?
Watt is. I mean, I know it's player.
I would assume.
Oh, give a fuck. It's funny that of all the other things, he decided to acronym that. But anyway,
right.
That's interesting because I haven't heard anybody else say that it's ass, but I have heard that people have stated that what do you call it? That it's missing some modes. So I'll have to check to see if it actually does. Brandon Martin says, I paid the early access for College Football 25. I already have 50 hours in the game. Yeah, I watched Jay Reaper play, and he was doing the the thing that you do when you have a certain trial period. Am I going to buy it? Am I not going to buy it? Am I going to buy it? Now everybody in chat knew he was going to buy it, but he's like, I'm probably not going to buy it. We were like, oh no, he is, because he just kept returning to it. It's like, that's a foregone conclusion, man. We're just waiting for you to admit to us you probably already bought it. But
Whoa.
So I don't know, man. When it looks at, or when you look at like all of these pre-orders and all this kind of stuff, I can see a couple reasons why companies do it. But overall, hate it. Hope it goes away. Never
Yeah, I don't like it either.
We've
But yeah, it definitely will never go away. It's only gonna get worse.
Years ago.
yeah. I don't see them giving up ground on that. In fact,
I think the hope is that
Why would they?
find something that works better as an incentive.
I mean, think how much more money they probably make.
That in some way returns more value with less negatives than early access.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see them giving up any of them.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, they're just gonna keep adding. You're gonna get just more stuff on top.
Yeah, you're gonna get more stuff.
Oh, you want to pay $300 for a 1 month access, early access? Okay.
So, big mod. I don't even remember when Fallout 4 came out. It's been years.
It's been years, right, in the making.
Dude,
Never played Fallout 4,
have a beard when I first covered
which is really sad.
It's been out forever. And so here's the thing with mods, man. First of all, congrats to the team for actually getting the goddamn thing out, because like, how many big mods, announced big mods have we seen come and go in a year? Let alone 2, let alone 3, let alone 4. So first thing I noticed, I finally decided, hey, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to watch a trailer for this mod, because I really don't cover mods too much. I don't have the time to cover mods, and I'm not going to review a mod in the same way, because that feels really weird. What are you going to do? Say not worth downloading, I guess. But I loved all voice acted. A couple of YouTubers I know got to voice act some of the characters in there.
That's not
really
cool.
Seems to hit the London vibe really well. And they're trying to work on some technical stuff that's popped up, which includes some crashes. They're trying to, which they, of course, any game is going to release with that. But what popped up to me is I saw I saw people playing it. I saw some people having no issues, some people having issues. And I was like, man, feedback to a mod team or getting feedback as a mod team, it must be rough because imagine a mod team. They can't even pay a company to QA it, you know? So all you've got is maybe fans to QA it and yourselves. And then you're rolling it out for a game that is notoriously buggy. I mean, right? I mean, I think when you look at the Fallout games,
an engine that certainly has issues.
Yeah, and so you release into that environment, and when I saw that they went live, I was like, okay, this will be interesting, you know, to see, because I saw a lot of fanfare around it. A lot of people have been waiting for this mod for ages. I like what I've seen. I like that they appear to have nailed London. I didn't know if Johnny was going to try this because it would mean installing Fallout and having you need all the DLCs and stuff. I wasn't quite sure if you loved London that much. So I wanted to see, are you thinking of diving in, Johnny, or is Fallout not for you in the first place?
I need to see more about it.
Okay.
Need to see more what's in it.
Yeah. But what I saw was like a lot of, it's interesting to me. A lot of times I'm so accustomed to mods that touch little things. And so seeing a full-fledged mod is sort of a big deal.
Yeah.
That was the cool thing, was seeing a mod voice acting. You know how it's always, you feel like there's one part of a mod that's missing. You're like, oh, the writing in this is awesome, but they used, you know, chat GPT voice acting or something, or, you know, there's, or the graphics are, you know, rough, or the models were made by people who don't have the time to, you know, really sit and look over something and really identify something. But what I saw there looked insanely good. Like, really, that's because I normally don't put mods on our thumbnail, but I was really impressed with what I saw, man. And there, you know, I was just sitting there going like, man, how do you feed back to the mods your problems when you know no one's being paid? Got to make sure that, you know, you don't crush them under all your shit, because it's a free thing. You know, it's just a free thing.
Yeah.
And my experience lately has been Starfield mods and reading
No
the
way.
vile
Oh,
filth,
wait.
the excrement, the absolute,
I'm like pretty sure I almost died.
unadulterated lowest parts of humanity
What is going on?
in the comment section. Yeah.
Right.
Mad that somebody didn't
Oh, I'm
include
probably
a
died on that
certain
one.
lace on something. And it's not anymore you made a mistake or
Gosh.
it's, I can't believe 40 hours of you making
That was kind of wild.
and I love,
Ooh.
and you didn't include this, and it's just vile. You need to do this. I can't believe you did this. This works great, but since you're missing the entitlement, the sheer entitlement for, maybe it'll help that it's Fallout 4, right? That it's an older game. So go ahead.
I think also, man, they hit like almost a perfect moment, because we're still riding off the wave from the show.
From the show.
People are still talking about it and
Absolutely.
excited.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the show. I wonder how the show is.
After, I think
I have it
we
saved.
someone in chat who was working on it.
To watch it at some
5
point.
years working on that, and you're able to come out with it in a moment like this where it is in the zeitgeist.
Perfect time.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Perfect time post them deciding they're gonna friggin' patch it, you know, and cause you have to delay your mod for a while. But, you know, that kind of stuff happens. But yeah, they worked through it, and we got what appears to be a really good mod. Ton of stuff that I saw that looked just fascinating. We're gonna have some people in our chat stream it today, I think, in voice chat, and I'm gonna watch them sit back, because I'm a fan of 4, man. Despite 4's issues, I'm a fan.
Me too.
I'm a fan of 3.
The gameplay itself was ace, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it was a blast.
It had the jank, but it's it was good.
Course. Yeah, of course. But none of us did 76 very long, right?
I didn't do it
Not very long.
Not at all. Not very long, and a little bit.
Yeah.
I think 4 is a good place to do your mod. It's even if you have issues. 3 and New Vegas were really, especially New Vegas when it was released, was like you were basically just, you know, it was a crapshoot on how this was going to work.
Oh yeah.
And so
it come together in like a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, late access. Could we buy that? Could I buy late access? You can always technically buy it, but you probably always should. But yeah, man, it was awesome to see it. It looks like it's doing well. Anti-Sky, SEK 27. Johnny UWU enjoyer. I don't know what that means.
Well, wait. It's like a cute anime face.
Is it something like weeb?
Yeah.
Then I'm not
so the W is like the mouth, and the U's are the eyes, so it's like a cute anime face in text. Ooh.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
It makes more sense if you see like an anime, drawn
Hang on,
thing.
right now I'm just trying to write all my mental hard drive to zero so I don't remember that. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done. Moving on from there. Thank you very much, Anti-Sky,
But
for the super
it's-
chat.
Like, it is really cool to see this like community created content. Like, we had
Yeah.
a year ago for Thief, we had
Oh, the
the
developer
Black
mod, right?
Parade, which was an expansion campaign for Thief the Dark Project, which is now nearly 20 years old.
Yeah.
And well, it is actually over 20 years old. It's it's nearly 30 years old. Christ.
That's crazy.
um but yeah, with a bunch of missions and like voice content for a new protagonist, and stuff, that was also really cool. So to see this stuff like actually amount to something, because you always see the creative process as it's being made and as people are signing on and then going off, and these teams are sort of coalescing and then disbanding. So to see it finally amount to something is pretty great, and I think everyone involved in that project can be very proud of the fact that it's now there, that it's now created, it's now a thing.
Yeah, and I think that pride also goes towards the idea that it's not it's weird, man, because it's not just like a mod. Even, and those guys were developers. It's like here's an engine that wasn't necessarily known to run the best. They had some big
Yeah.
mods, and to continue doing the mod, continue to have people together as a community, because we know this. We've talked about it because of our, the length of time we've been doing Discord and doing whatever we've been doing in the Discord, the chat with the people in there. The idea that they've kept a community together that's actually interested in it for that long and able to work on it for that long is like,
and
that's insane.
and managed to organize the teams and keep the teams engaged. I mean, just look at what happened with Reg's project, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? I would say 99% of the time
is something that it's very easy to take for granted, but it's a killer.
Yeah.
Like for projects like this, it really is.
And we see it all the time in Kickstarter, where people are even paying for it, like, more actively, and projects don't come to fruition, right? They don't.
Yeah, because people,
go
like,
all the
life
way.
happens. People get pulled away to something else, or
Yeah, I
they
feel like the
move, or whatever.
like this class, it's just kind of slow.
It sort of disbands.
Like the skills just take forever to release.
It's especially with time.
Granted, it is
you
super
just
easy
have
to play,
life,
but
pregnancies,
yes, exactly.
adoptions,
Yeah, I don't know.
families, deaths. So yeah, the idea that somebody's able to do that.
Emergencies, disasters, maybe, or whatever.
Yeah.
Accidents.
Well, we had
whatever.
COVID. I
A
forgot.
million different-
Luckily
exactly,
with
yeah.
remote working, you might have, but they might have somebody in their family, and it pulls that aside. And I'm sure that what they need to do is film themselves a nice, good documentary as quick as possible.
Very
Called
much
The
so,
Making
yeah.
of Fallout London. I saw one of them was on BBC, I think, talking about it. I think when the mod came out, and there were a couple of other things. Maybe they've got one and I just haven't seen it. But yeah, those kind of things are awesome. But yeah, congratulations to those. Christopher Jets are $10. I saw something from WCCF Tech that was mentioning that Dragon Age and Vampire Bloodlines 2 are both skipping Gamescom. Is this concerning? I look forward to both games. So I can say,
I don't think so.
I would say no on Dragon Age. It's not concerning. Vampire Bloodlines 2, it could be no on both, meaning they're just trying to get their work and they don't.
I'm
wanna
already
pay
concerned
to
about
fly.
Bloodlines 2, irrespective
Exactly.
of its absence.
That's
from
exactly where I
Gamescom.
was going. It's like I'm not quite sure how much more concerned I can be about it before I
Yeah.
try to hug it from remotely. Like Bloodlines has
Yes.
gone through, and by the way, I played Dead Island 2, which went through its own development hell. Switch developers turned out to be a very enjoyable game, a phenomenally fun game. So it can happen. But
yeah, a lot of these games
Bloodlines
I've
2,
not
all the
even
stuff
played.
I've seen that they seem to officially be moving forward with, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what exactly that is, or what,
Yeah.
why is it even got the name? There's some thought process there. I think with Dragon Age it makes sense because they're probably just trying to get towards release, man. You just like
Whew. I
costs a
just want
lot
Grand
of
Theft Auto
money.
6.
Costs, hundreds of thousands of
Give me
dollars just
Grand
to
Theft
put
Auto
it there. You can
6.
demo
You know, the
all
sad
the
thing
you
is,
want.
though, is I've never
I'm sure you
actually
can only
beat Grand
post
Theft Auto
stuff,
5.
do
I need to
you got
do
to
that at
hire a
some
PR
point.
company to do all of the things. So I would say for one of them, I'm not concerned at all, and for the other one, it doesn't do anything but just sort of wrap up more concern
I
for
just
Vampire Bloodlines 2.
remembered actually you mentioned
Oh, that tongue rag
speaking of
necklace.
Vampire and mods. Somebody's remaking Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, which was an
The
old.
D&D one where you
Yeah,
had the
yeah,
game master mode. Okay.
yeah. They're remaking it in first person as a like total conversion mod. I forget which
Oh,
game
really?
it is.
I think that would work for that one. I wonder if they're doing the D&D mod too. Are they
I got
doing
the
the master
Yonzies.
mode as well? Because that mode was ahead of its time.
No, I don't
Yeah.
believe so. It was, yeah, the storyteller aspect of that. I think it might actually be a mod for Bloodlines, a total conversion mod for Bloodlines. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Well, hey, I'd play that. I mean, there's more than enough mods for Bloodlines have improved it than the original game ever had on its own. I mean, the game was rough. I played it when it first
Yeah.
came out. It was rough. People play it now and they're like, "Oh, this is a great game." It's like, yeah, it is now. It is now, but
Yeah, I
it
mean,
certainly
it's
wasn't.
even still somewhat rough now.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Except for the dancing
so
animations,
so
still the funniest
just
dancing
how,
animations I've seen
that should tell you something about how it was at release.
at release. Yeah, that was a rough one, definitely. Yeah, so there's other big mods coming out for Fallout. There's other big mods coming out for Witcher. Witcher finally they
Oh,
released their
Witcher.
mod tools. But the other question that does come up is
Huh. Wonder what the mod was for
like
Witcher.
what exactly
Such
what
a
do you
good
guys
game.
expect? For me, I don't expect much from a mod, meaning I know that it's done because of a fan wanting to do it. And there's no, unless they have a patron, which is fine, but unless they have a patron or something, there's no real financial gain for it. And like Johnny said, financial gain doesn't mean much when we see Kickstarter after Kickstarter after Kickstarter after Kickstarter fail. By the way, there's a board game company that just now sold their failed Kickstarters to
Oh
another
my
board game
gosh.
company to fulfill their old orders, and they're almost a decade old now. Like
No way.
failed. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That is
But
ridiculous.
from a mod, I don't know what I don't really have any expectations for mods because people have asked me, "What do you expect from it?" I'm like, I expect it to not break my original game. That's
Yeah,
that,
Yeah, pretty
let's
much.
start that as the basic baseline. Yeah.
that's a basic baseline,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
please.
don't break my game.
Yeah.
Don't break my basic
Don't
game, and
corrupt my saves.
don't
Yeah.
corrupt my saves. Other than that, the best thing I could tell any mod maker, because I adore all you guys. You guys have made Starfield. I enjoyed Starfield day one for what it was. It had its issues, but what I was going to say was I've seen people make some really enjoyable mods for Starfield. Really enjoyable enough that like if they did have a little buy me a coffee digital link, I
Yep.
would be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This took you some time. I have no issue with that. I'm a firm believer in, here's $3, here's 5. I believe that stuff is like what makes a mod maker. And I've had it myself. Wake up a little dreary. You've had it, Johnny. You wake up to do a stream and you're just a little bit low energy that day, and somebody says thank you with $1, and you're like, yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
it. It's like
that
they're
made a difference for
putting their
sure.
money where their mouth is, kind of thing. But yeah, don't break my game.
Yeah,
That's about
don't break my game.
about it.
Also, for mods that are kind of really big like this one, I expected not to. Well, I guess that falls under break the game, not like changing the way the game. How to say, like change basic systems in the game or something, or
Unless it's
kind
a
of
basic change,
break.
unless that's the
Yeah,
mod.
unless it's intended. Yeah,
Yeah.
unless it's part of the mod. But I have seen it a few times, not this one, but other mods that are really big.
Mm-hmm.
They do like certain things really well, but then they also have horrible side effects
Yeah.
where some stuff stops working, um, That would be the only thing I would say.
Getting there.
But yeah, man, I actually like what
10
they've done with Starfield.
or 11 more
They
minutes.
have the market, don't they? Where like people
They have
can
the
earn
market,
money.
and then they have that paid for mods thing, which I don't track other than I know that people aren't necessarily in love with that for sure, especially because Bethesda charges a lot for theirs. But they
Maybe
also
I'm
have
confused. I
they
thought
also
the
have File
market
Nexus.
was community made stuff. Is it
Yeah, so the market can
Bethesda?
be community made. It can be,
Okay.
but it's also Bethesda. Yeah.
They got their own,
Yeah.
official ones.
Yeah, and Bethesda, the charge that you see from Bethesda for some stuff, you're like, I don't understand this amount. I don't understand this charging versus some
I
others.
did see some comparisons actually. Now that you mention it.
Hey man, they brought us horse armor. They ushered us in to where we are now. But what I was going to say, the only other
I love
thing
the
any
mods
mod
for Grand
makers
Theft
out
Auto
there is
5.
just embrace
Oh,
File Nexus. They're the best place to go. You can get your mods. There's other places. I shouldn't say the best because that might bring some. There are other places to go, but it's the biggest currently. And the other, they're using Good Old Games for theirs, Fallout London, because it's so big. The mod is so big. So there were some discussions I remember seeing about the size, which makes total sense.
like being able to
Very,
spawn
very
in
good. Mod.io, I believe
like a
is the other one.
Ferrari
Mod.io is
or
the
whatever
other
car
one.
you want it
But
to
just make
be.
sure
So
you want as
nice.
many eyes on. Upload it to as many places.
I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5 though in like years.
The horse armor.
Hard to tell what type of mods are out now.
Sims.
Probably
The shitty expansion
mods
pack
that
Max
my
is
computer
trying
won't
to-
run.
No, the first Sims.
Yeah, I'm sure
was
some
like
graphical
all
mods are
Ultimate
probably
DLC
insane too.
And whatever it is, like flimsy sort of stuff packs, that basically added like very extra novelty stuff, I guess, to the game for like it on discs, as sort of expansion packs, but we're really light on the content.
The Frizzler, $5 super chat on something random. You were right about Time Bandits, the new one. It sucks. They should have left the old classic alone. Yeah, it was sort of weird to see a new Time Bandits. Just got to throw it out there, but it's one of those things. Remakes of movies, remakes of games sometimes don't make sense. That one in particular did not. Anything else about Fallout London other than people should go check it out, download it if you have Fallout 4. I believe you need all the DLC or the Game of the Year edition, I believe, but don't like 100% believe me on that. Go check their website. But yeah, you should definitely check it out if you like the idea of running around a Fallout version of London. It's a good place to go. Yeah, very cool. Next up,
you know what? Just a quick, like, big congrats to everybody who pulled that through, because it takes some fucking tenacity to,
Yo,
5 years.
what up, 20-piece nugs?
Really, but
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, Total War Pharaoh free update. So, all up. I was confused by this. I'm assuming you, Joe.
Hope you're having a good night.
Like they updated the game. Silver.
No,
you mean
considerable additions of content.
What is it?
Well, it's a massive map expansion for one thing.
I like the name, 20-piece nugs.
And the Aegean, as in Greece.
The real question is, where are you getting your nugs at?
Come with additional factions.
Mickey D's, Burger King,
Troy or Troya,
Chick-fil-A.
and from Mesopotamia, we're getting Babylon and Assyria.
Probably would be Chick-fil-A for me.
They're expanding an entirely new dynasty system, revamping battle gameplay, campaign mechanics, pretty much total overhaul of the entire game. And not only is it free, but like months ago, they slashed the price of Pharaoh from $60 to $40. So you're getting all of that content not only free, but at a lower price than at release, which is fairly incredible, I think.
And the game
and it goes a long way toward a game that was not quite universally praised at release.
That's what I was going to ask.
It did have its fans. I thought it was okay, but certainly now it's a significant improvement to where I think it now stands probably as one of the best Total War games in the series.
Really?
Like that diplomacy options now are much more intricate and much more along the lines of something you see in like Three Kingdoms, where there are now dynasties where your faction leader can die of old age, and then it passes down through the family, like in Crusader, similar to Crusader Kings. There are interpersonal relationships, all that stuff. It's just really, really cool.
That's awesome to see, man. That's cool because that one, you know me, I'm not a huge fan of that timeline nor location, so I've just sort of been hands off on that one. Watching like some of the reporting, I know when it first launched, it wasn't beloved, that there were some issues.
Yeah,
But how long's that been out now? A year?
nearly.
5 minutes
It was
away.
released late last year. Yeah, I think around September
Damn.
last year.
Kig, $10 super chat. He is, let's see, playing through Tomb Raider Survivor Trilogy so far. That 1080 Ti has been able to handle any game I throw at it from last gen at 1440p 60 FPS. Leaving some more thanks here. Yeah, you're welcome, man. I noticed Kig was having an issue getting some games to run, and I had a 1080 sitting around. So I was like, just give me your address. I'll just send
That's
it to you.
great.
You've been a patron forever. Like, whatever. I'll just, it's like with Sleeve when he was having issues. I was like, dude, it's sitting here. Merry Christmas, whatever. And it
That's
was
nice of
funny
him.
though, because the difference was astronomical. I don't remember what he was running, but it was like a rock and a string. Because when he put
Uh,
it in and he started
A
streaming the
potato.
next day, I was like, oh my God, what I had been watching, and it was like stuttery and all this stuff. So it's
Yeah.
crazy. The 1080 Ti is probably one of my favorite cards of all time. That thing is a trooper.
Oh
So
yeah.
like,
All of a sudden, you can play without having to look down at your feet all the time.
yeah, to get the
To maintain
FPS
a
high where you
frame
look
rate.
down,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
screwing around. But yeah, so no worries, Kig. I'm glad it worked, man, and I appreciate it. And
good.
hopefully it continues to work for you for a long time. The 1080s, they remind me of the 8800, man.
That's a workhorse of a
Yo,
card.
what
I've had
up,
it for
dude?
Many years.
It's
What up, Aiden? Hope you're doing well.
that's the thing, man. It's like there's certain CPUs that I still see people running. The i9 or the i7 920 was one that you could just overclock that thing to insane amounts, feed it a bunch of voltage, and it would just continue to play games many years
Oh
after.
man,
8800
so many
8K
mobs.
wasn't too bad. Or
Uh,
8700K. You get certain ones, and of course AMD's got a bunch.
I don't even know a
I
1080
have
Ti.
an
Like I don't even know
and
what that
it's
compares to.
awesome whenever there's like something that just sits around and continues to work, and you don't
Yeah.
really have to think about. I mean, setting something down to 1080 is not going to kill you anyway. 1080, resolution.
And I just
Or
recently started gaming on 2K.
even better. So
And it's so
and
nice.
Rise of the Tomb Raider looked phenomenal day one. So like,
Oh,
I'm
for sure.
like
Yeah.
that game is gorge. So we were watching him streaming. I was like, damn, that thing just absolutely has lived forever. Flip Cup, do you have any 4090s laying around?
Oh,
You
do you have any
never ask, man.
you have any
That's the thing.
4090s?
That's the problem, buddy. You asked. So if I did have a 4090, sorry, it's not for you. I'll give it to somebody else. No, I don't have a 4090 sitting around. I'd use a 4090 to Bitcoin or something. No, I wouldn't. I don't know what I'd use.
I had a 1080 when it first came out.
Probably sell it because they're probably still
Is that
going for expensive.
what do you have in your main?
This
Did
is
you
a
have a 1080 Ti though?
4090
Do you have a Ti?
and a 3080 in
Yeah.
the secondary, and then a 2080 or another 1080 in the tertiary.
Because
one. That's
you do
old one.
testing in the
Yeah.
different ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and you definitely.
I can't remember what I had.
Now test on a 4090, and I
I'm
can
not-
show you the scale very easily. Go if I'm getting this FPS.
I've never
this
really
FPS
had like the
in
top of the
scale,
line
you can almost
graphic
perfect-
card.
So you could do that
Maybe I had
in
like a
general.
1060 or
But the
something.
big thing, man, is the friggin' RAM on those cards.
I can't remember what
The
this
DRAM.
PC came with.
If you get a
Yeah.
small
5 years
DRAM on a
ago.
card that sounds fast, like its numbers
Maybe it was
indicate
10.
it's
I
gonna
think
be
it might have been a
once you start
1060,
getting VRAM,
and then I
you're like,
eventually upgraded to a
what's happening? It's
2070 a
broken.
couple years ago.
Yes, and that's one thing where having 24 gigs.
Or I mean, I'm sorry, a
Yeah, some of
3070,
these bigger
3070.
cards, it's just never.
Or wait,
upgradable.
maybe I
You're
had-
never gonna hit that.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
24.
Maybe
yeah,
I had
you're
a
not gonna be
20
hitting that. Of course,
Maybe it was a
somebody's gonna prove me wrong
2060
in the next year, right? Some
Yeah,
game's gonna
yeah,
come
yeah.
out
5
hit
years
32
ago.
gigs or something. You'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
I can't even
But,
remember.
yeah, it's
GTA
Been so long ago.
GTA 6.
Yeah, I think I had a
4090.
20 something
Remember
series
when
card.
GTA 5 came out, it
And then
did
I
not run
upgraded to a
on
3070
I
No,
still
2 years
It had
ago.
A graphic to show you how much VRAM it was eating up,
Yep.
and you could change settings about like the density of people and stuff, and you could see it like go up.
This is what I
was
always
pretty
say,
cool.
Johnny, too.
Wasn't GTA 5 okay, but GTA 4 was really terrible? Or was it
GTA
better?
5
GTA
GTA 5 was pretty rough when it comes to full performance. It was pretty rough.
Oh, I'm
PC
sure.
On
early was
PC at least.
very
Yeah.
rough.
I believe GTA 4 was also rough. I just,
Oh,
in
that
all
was
honesty,
very rough.
I just, in
on
all
release.
honesty, think that the GTAs are doing enough stuff that it takes a while. You know, like
yeah, yeah.
whatever they're hitting, they, you know, it takes a while. But I think GTA 4 was worse to me. But it's been so long, it's hard to remember.
I mean, I certainly remember the like the coverage of it being a lot more negative than I remember it ever being for GTA 5.
Do you know why that might have been, though? GTA 4 was great. It had its own thing, but GTA 5 with all the side stuff you can do, I think there's just a little bit more love for 5 when it comes to the open world thing.
Oh,
Some of the
yeah,
movie
for
editor
sure.
Stuff in the
Yeah.
PC version.
I didn't
of
like
5.
GTA 4.
True. And some great machinima came out of the.
Of course, my
GTA
all-time favorite was
Yeah.
San Andreas.
You don't even need an editor, as we saw with like
Like, you could do, like,
Red
I
versus
don't
Blue.
know what happened, but I
Dude,
feel like they
remember when that was a
downgraded.
thing?
Like,
That
after
was
San
the-
Andreas,
Johnny,
like,
you were
they just
probably still
downgraded
in
with
high
how much you
school
could
or
do in a
middle
game.
school when, like, Red
Like, you
versus
could, like,
Blue first came
go
out,
and
right?
work
So it's
out.
that's been over a decade.
Yeah, probably. I'm from '88, so
And, like, get
Oh,
jacked from working out.
I'm older.
sure.
Or
than
you can go to a fast food
are,
restaurant and
yeah.
eat and get
I'm
fat.
just joking.
Like, I don't know, it was just
No.
mind
You're
blowing to
saying you were
me
born
that you
in
could get something like that.
I was born in.
Dude,
And then
you
after
can't be
San
doing the fucking
Andreas,
thought
they
you were
just
saying
like
because I said
just-
graduated.
Oh,
Or
like-
I talked about
you never
I
had
thought
that
said you were-
that
you're
much
from 88.
freedom
Yeah,
I thought you
said
meant
it.
class
Yeah,
of
okay.
'88.
or flexibility to do stuff like that.
All right, that,
Right.
What
that
the
would have
fuck?
been.
Johnny's got some
Yeah.
Tom Cruise up in him, man. He got
Holy shit.
checking his teeth to make sure he doesn't have the middle Tom
I'm
Cruise
drinking
tooth.
some babies.
All right, let's see. Yeah, I definitely did not do as hot this hour. I don't know what it is. Like, I just can't pull very good numbers with Dosa. I mean, I don't know. Maybe when I hit 62, I don't know. All right, let's see how much trash I got. So, let's see. 3938 plus 9473. Oh, I mean, I guess not too bad. I mean, like about 2,000 difference from like my striker. Let's see, 13,411. 69 of those. 12 those. 15. 7. I only got 2 Kafras. What the heck? Wow, I got super gypped on that. I did get a tongue grad necklace though. Alright, I think that's all. And this was with Dosa, Succession. So 516 million. So you can see right there. 516 million. Peace.
Sunsets on black desert sky. It's just you and I. Weapons ready, no good.